welcome. You're watching Rajya TV. This is News at 10. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, political uncertainty in Jammu and Kashmir is our top focus. The PDP and the BJP will clarify their stand on government formation today. And in the top international news, we'll get you all the updates on Iowa caucuses. Now, Ted Cruz has won the Republican vote. Let us begin with the headlines. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari accorded state welcome on arrival at Brunei's Darussalam. Agreements on defence cooperation, health and education to be inked. Jammu and Kashmir Governor to meet BJP and PDP leaders today to seek clarity on stand on government formation in the state. The state has been under governor's rule since Mufti Muhammad Saeed's death. Thirteen college students drowned at a beach in Rajya in Maharashtra while they were on a picnic. Navy and Coast Guard engage in rescue operations as many students are still untraced. World Health Organization declares Zika a global emergency, calls it an extraordinary event. However, no travel restrictions imposed. And Texas Senator Ted Cruz wins the Iowa Republican caucuses. This is the first vote of the U.S. 2016 presidential polls. The Democrat votes are being counted. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari, who's on a 5-day visit to Brunei and Thailand, arrived at Brunei's Darussalam on Monday. Well, it is the first ever visit by an Indian vice president to the country. No agreements on defence, cooperation, health and education will be signed. Discussions will be held on cooperation in civil aviation, space, trade and investment, besides hydrocarbons and information and communication.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari landed at the Brunei Darussalam airport on Monday evening to begin his 5-day tour to Brunei Darussalam and Thailand. His visit is an endeavour to further strengthen ties with the two Asian countries. The tour also assumes significance since it is the first ever visit to Brunei Darussalam by the Vice President of India. Speaking on board the special plane, the Vice President said that both India and Brunei are exploring possibilities of increasing trade in oil and natural gas. MOS Home Affairs Haribhai Parthibai Chaudhary is also accompanying the Vice President on the two-nation tour.
We buy about $1 million worth of oil from them. They don't have much of gas available for us because their gas is already contracted out on long-term basis. We are exploring with them the possibility of using their gas locally in Brunei for setting up of a fertilizer plant. Some discussions on that has taken place. Maybe we'll discuss a little more on it.
Emphasizing further on India-Brunei ties, the Vice President said that Brunei is an important ASEAN country and they want to further deepen ties with India. Earlier, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh had visited Brunei in October 2013 to attend the 11th ASEAN-India Summit and 8th EAS Summit. The Sultan of Brunei has been on a state-level visit to India twice in May 2008 and before that in September 1992. During the visit, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari will be paying a visit to the Sultan Omar Al Saifuddin Mosque on Tuesday, followed by his meeting with the Crown Prince and later with the Sultan of Brunei at the Sultan's Palace. The Vice President was accorded a state welcome soon after landing at the capital city Bandar Seri Begawan on Monday. He was later called upon by the President and Executive Committee of Brunei-India Friendship Association in the capital city. Earlier, speaking to the press on board the special aircraft, the Vice President expressed hope that the upcoming budget session of Parliament may not witness a logjam.
The question is of developing an attitude in which all sections of the House consider it more productive to discuss, debate and decide rather than otherwise.
Vice President Ansari is scheduled to deliver a lecture on India-Brunei relations at the Brunei University campus on Wednesday.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari arrives in Brunei capital, beginning his 5-day visit to Thailand and Brunei to strengthen further the already existing strong ties with these two countries. It will be first ever visit by Vice President of India to Brunei.
And the government has called an all-party meeting on 4th of February to discuss the duration of the budget session of Parliament in view of assembly elections in 5 states. Now, the meeting will be held before the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs meets to finalise a broad schedule of the session, which is likely to begin on 23rd of February. In a letter to opposition leaders, Parliamentary Affairs Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu said that he would like to seek their advice regarding a ensuing a budget session that is coinciding with the election schedule of 5 states. The governments also say that there are precedents when the budget session had been held without a break, but declined to divulge whether an all-party meeting has been called to achieve a consensus for a similar approach. No efforts to reach out to the opposition came at a time when the opposition parties have decided to corner the government on issues like the presidential rule in Congress-ruled Arunachal Pradesh and the suicide by a Dalit student in Hyderabad Central University. News from Jammu and Kashmir now. Well, the governor N.N. Bora has asked alliance partners the BJP and the PDP to clarify their stand on government formation by today. Now, this comes after meetings by both the PDP and the BJP to discuss PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti's hardened stance regarding her erstwhile alliance partner.
The Jammu and Kashmir unit of the BJP held a meeting on Monday, a day after People's Democratic Party indicated a rethink in its position on the ruling alliance in the state. PDP President Mehbooba Mufti on Sunday hardened her stand on some issues that has insisted on written assurances from the BJP.
कश्मीर की वर्तमान जो परिस्थिति है उसके बारे में हमारे स्टेट यूनिट का कोर कमेटी का मीटिंग आज सुबह जम्मू में संपन्न हुई। गवर्नर साहब हमारे स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट को कल सरकार बनाने के विषय में चर्चा करने के लिए बुलाए थे। कल शाम को हमारे स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट उनसे मिलेंगे, तो बीच में सेंट्रल लीडरशिप को इस विषय में पूरी जानकारी देना, अपना विचार देना और बाकी यहाँ जो भी सेंट्रल लीडरशिप का जो मार्गदर्शन होगा उसके हिसाब से कल गवर्नर से मिलकर पार्टी का राय रखना।
कल माननीय गवर्नर साहब ने अध्यक्ष होने के नाते मुझे फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट के लिए बुलाया है और उसके विषय पे बात करने के लिए बुलाया है। उसी विषय को लेकर आज हमारी बैठक थी।
According to media reports, Mehbooba wants withdrawal of the controversial Armed Forces Special Powers Act from some parts of the state, resumption of dialogue with Kashmir separatists, among other issues on which the BJP is not comfortable.
मात्र 10 महीने का समय हुआ है, 6 वर्ष के लिए एजेंडा ऑफ अलायंस बना है। डेफिनेटली वी विल ट्राई टू कवर ईच एंड एवरीथिंग और हमारी कोशिश ये रहेगी, ये मिनिमम कॉमन मिनिमम प्रोग्राम होता है, इसको छोड़कर भी कुछ चीजें ऐसी होती हैं जो बढ़ाई जा सकती हैं।
The PDP and the BJP formed a government last year after months of haggling in the state, which produced a fractured verdict. The PDP has 27 seats in the assembly, followed by the BJP's 25 in the 87-member state legislature in December 2015 elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Supreme Court has said that reports in which Arunachal Pradesh Governor J.P. Rajkhowa had recommended President's rule do not have to be shared by him. While recalling its notice to the governor, it also cancelled its earlier request for a copy of the documents. It has, however, rejected centre's opposition to giving documents seized from the deposed Chief Minister Nabam Tuki and his cabinet colleagues.
The Supreme Court has recalled its notice to the Arunachal Pradesh governor seeking his report to the president recommending central rule in the state. It, however, rejected the centre's opposition to giving documents seized from the deposed Chief Minister Nabam Tuki and his cabinet colleagues. While recalling its notice to the governor, the 5-judge constitutional bench said the governor enjoys complete immunity in court proceedings. The notice was recalled after Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi pointed to the constitutional position of the governor.
On an objection by the Attorney General as well as our side representing the governor that under Article 361 of the Constitution, no notice can be issued to either the President of India or to the governor of a state for anything done by him under the discharge of his duties. The learned judges withdrew the notice which was issued to the Honorable Governor on 27th, as well as in the fresh petitions also which were filed today, no notice has been issued to the Governor of the state.
The Supreme Court also issued a notice on former Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Nabam Tuki's fresh petition protesting President's rule in the state.
This is an ongoing process. It's heard today, it's going to be heard tomorrow. So it is inappropriate for me to say anything on the merits. All that I can say is that the court has thought it fit that a challenge to the whole issue cannot be efficacious, cannot be real, cannot be genuine, cannot be strong unless and until basic documents are made available. I think it is regrettable that the government of India took a stand that even basic documents should not be released.
The Arunachal governor, who has been accused by the Congress of using the Raj Bhavan as headquarters of the BJP and the RSS, has said he was working within the ambit of the constitution and that he was nobody's agent.
The rest of the things, those are in the Supreme Court, subject in the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, the 5-member bench, they are seizing all the issues and obviously, so they are taking note of that. The Honorable Supreme Court wanted the information to be given, to reports to be given, all have been given to the Honorable Supreme Court. Each of the 5-member judges in still cover.
The Supreme Court has given the centre time until Friday to make copies and return forthwith all seized private letters, files and documents of former Chief Minister, ministers and parliamentary secretaries. The court said that this was the basic fairness level required for them to assail the promulgation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, news from down south. Well, the quota protest in Andhra Pradesh took a serious turn after a member of the agitating Kapu community allegedly committed suicide. Now, members of the community have been seeking reservation in the backward classes list. Carrying out protests in this regard, they clashed with the police in Tuni town of East Godavari district on Sunday, injuring 15 policemen. They later set a passenger train on fire and torched a police station as well, leading to a law and order situation in the district.
After a day of violent clashes, an uneasy calm has returned to Tuni town in East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh. Train and road traffic resumed as members of the Kapu community agreed to end the blockade temporarily. Elaborate security arrangements were made and additional reinforcements sent to the East Godavari district to avoid a repeat of Sunday's incident when quota protests by the Kapu community turned violent. Agitators went on a rampage, setting on fire a passenger train, a police station, police and private vehicles. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu took stock of the situation a day later, assuring a commitment to provide reservation to the community.
Government will take suitable action in order to provide for reservations in excess of 50%. I am having so much of acquaintance with these people for the last 40 years. Not now. ఎప్పుడు వాళ్ళ మనసులో ఒక పాజిటివ్నెస్ ఉండే తప్ప ఏదైనా ఉంటే వాళ్ళు మాట్లాడే భాష కూడా పౌరుషంగా ఉండదు. అలాంటి వాళ్ళు పోలీసులు కొడతారండి? ఎందుకు కొడతారండి పోలీసుల్ని?
But leaders of the opposition parties pinned the blame on Chandrababu Naidu, saying if he had fulfilled his pre-poll promise, this would not have happened.
The recent, this 2014 election, there is a lot of promise by the Chandrababu Naidu, saying that definitely I will give for reservation, yours is the oldest issue, I will consider. But unfortunately 18 months is over after he came in power. But he never cared about the issue of the reservation.
Chandrababu Naidu promised earlier, before election, that is before election, he promised like anything. He want to give the reservation to the Kapu section. Now it is 2.5 years after that, they revolted like this, and then now it is a failure of the, it is a clear-cut picture, it is a failure of the government as well as the Chandrababu Naidu.
Senior Kapu leader M. Padmanabhan has also threatened to sit on an indefinite fast if the state government does not include the Kapus in the backward classes list by Monday night. The Kapus had aligned with the TDP ahead of the 2014 general elections after Chandrababu Naidu promised to restore their status as backward classes, which had existed till 1960. But after the elections, the TDP government dragged its feet on taking a decision to appoint a judicial commission to make the recommendations. The TDP says it is yet to consider the options on how to give quota to Kapus without upsetting the existing quota to backward classes and to ensure that it withstood legal scrutiny. The TDP government is also wary of similar demands by other communities. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, a short break in here. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Now, tragic news coming in from Maharashtra, where at least 13 college students drowned at a beach in Rajya district of the state. Now, the victims were part of a group of 130 students of a Pune college who had arrived at the beach for a picnic. Now, 5 of the students were rescued by local fishermen and the authorities, but several students are still reported missing. A picnic on the coast of the Arabian Sea turned tragic on Monday as 13 students from a Pune college drowned off the popular Murud Janjira beach in Rajya district. The incident occurred in the afternoon when 18 students ventured into the sea to swim. The students aged between 18 and 20 were part of a group of around 130 from Maharashtra Cosmopolitan Education Society's Abedar Inamdar College. The cause of the tragedy is still not clear.
6 लोग उसमें गए थे पानी में। अच्छा, बाकी तो दे आर सेफ। ये कैसे हादसा हुआ कुछ पता ये अभी तक एग्जैक्ट पता नहीं चला, क्योंकि पुलिस की जब रिपोर्ट आएगी तभी पता चलेगा ना एग्जैक्ट। बाकी तो फिर अफवाहें हो सकती है, ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया, ये नहीं होना चाहिए। ऑथेंटिक रिपोर्ट जब आएगी तो हम आपको शेयर करेंगे।
Locals and fishermen rushed for help as soon as the tragedy occurred. They managed to save 5 students, but 13 of them drowned, while a few students are still untraced. The dead include 10 girls and 3 boys. The Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard deployed helicopters and a speedboat, besides police divers for the combined mega rescue operations.
महाराष्ट्र की सरकार भी उन परिवारों के साथ है जिनके साथ ये दुखद घटना आज घटी हुई है। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बड़ा शोक जताया है इस घटना के बारे में, और शासन की ओर से इसमें कुछ न कुछ आगे की जो राहत की बात है वो हम अनाउंस करेंगे।
A pall of gloom descended over the college following the tragedy. Many parents turned up at the college. Tempers ran high as they questioned the college authorities about why the students were not dissuaded from going into the sea, forcing the camp police to be summoned.
ये जो घटना हुई है ये मैनेजमेंट के इररिस्पॉन्सिबल जो हरकतें थे, बिहेवियर के वजह से घटना हुई है। बहुत बड़ा हादसा हुआ है, कई पालकों को इसका सदमा बैठा हुआ है। पूरा पूना शहर इस वक्त डिप्रेशन में, ना ही पूरा भारत को इसका सदमा हुआ है। मैनेजमेंट ने अपने साथ में जो बच्चे ले जाए थे उनके साथ में प्रॉपर गार्ड नहीं थे, बच्चों के ऊपर प्रॉपर निगरानी नहीं रखी गई, बच्चों की प्रॉपर केयर टेकिंग नहीं की गई। इसके लिए बच्चों को अपनी जान खोना पड़ी, और इसके लिए ये कैंपस के जितने भी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है वो सारे इनके ऊपर पहला प्रोसिक्यूशन होना चाहिए, पुलिस कंप्लेंट दर्ज होना चाहिए।
Search and rescue went on till late in the evening and will continue today as well. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has expressed shock and grief over the incident. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Now let's take a look at the stories expected to make news through the day today in the day ahead. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Coimbatore and Kozhikode today. He will inaugurate the ESI Medical College at Varda Rajapuram area in the Cotton City and the Vision Enclave in connection with the 3rd edition of the Global Ayurveda Festival in Kozhikode. The Supreme Court will hold an open court reconsideration on a curative petition of gay activists challenging its verdict criminalizing homosexuality in the country today. Parliament had rejected an opportunity to decriminalize homosexuality in December 2015. A bench headed by Chief Justice T.S. Thakur will hear the petition filed by gay rights activists and NAS Foundation. The Supreme Court will commence a final hearing from today on various appeals, including the one filed by Karnataka against the acquittal of AIADMK Chief and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha and others in the disproportionate assets case. And news coming in from the United States, where Senator Ted Cruz beat billionaire Donald Trump in Iowa's Republican presidential nominating contest. Well, this is a big upset to the national frontrunner in the race to be their party's White House nominee in 2016. Well, Cruz, a conservative lawmaker from Texas, won with 28% of the votes compared to 24% for businessman Trump. Now, Marco Rubio, a U.S. Senator from Florida, came in the third place with 23%, making him easily the leader among the establishment Republican candidates. In the Democrats, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton held a slim lead in the race over rival Bernie Sanders. Former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, who had trouble gaining any traction in the Democratic race, planned to suspend his campaign. On the Republican side, Governor Mike Huckabee said that he was suspending his campaign for the Republican Party nomination. Remember, Huckabee had won the Iowa caucuses in the year 2008. And the big international story, well, the WHO has declared Zika virus a global health emergency after it's linked to thousands of suspected cases of birth defects in Brazil. Well, the declaration will facilitate international coordination of tracking, research and response to the virus. However, Brazil says that Rio Olympics will go on as scheduled.
I am now declaring that the recent cluster of microcephaly and other neurological abnormalities reported in Latin America, following a similar cluster of French Polynesia in 2014, constitutes a public health emergency of international concern.
The World Health Organization declaring the mosquito-borne Zika virus to be an international public health emergency, saying the emergency is warranted because of how fast the mosquito-borne virus is spreading and its suspected link to spike in babies born with abnormally small heads, a condition called microcephaly in Brazil and French Polynesia. However, at the moment, there would be no restrictions placed on travel or trade.
At present, the most important protective measures are the control of mosquito populations and the prevention of mosquito bites in at-risk individuals, especially pregnant women.
The real concern that we have is that there appears to be some evidence of a link between the Zika virus and a particular birth defect when a pregnant woman contracts the virus. We're there's a lot of research that's being done now and a lot of information that's being collected now to try to determine that linkage.
Brazil says there is no chance that the Rio Olympics will be cancelled because of the Zika virus outbreak. It said there was no risk to athletes and spectators except pregnant women at the August event. The Brazilian president has authorized health inspectors to use force if necessary to gain access to private buildings to eradicate breeding ground for mosquitoes. 2 lakh troops have been deployed to do household inspections. Country's health minister said the improved testing should allow the country to get a better grip on the epidemic.
Então, grande número de mulheres são acometidas, de mulheres não, de pessoas são acometidas com o vírus Zika, adquirem a doença, mas não desenvolvem os sintomas.
The WHO alert puts Zika in the same category of concern as Ebola. It means research and aid will be fast-tracked to tackle the infection. There have been around 4,000 reported cases of microcephaly in Brazil alone since the month of October. Currently, there is no vaccine or medication to cure Zika. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from the Middle East, where United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Staffan de Mistura, has said that the peace talks between the Syrian government and the opposition leaders have officially started. Now, the statement was made after a 2-hour meeting with the High Negotiations Committee, the main Syrian opposition group. Well, the UN-brokered meetings are to take place over the next 6 months with the aim of finding lasting peace in Syria, a country which has been at war for almost 5 years now. The meeting comes against a backdrop of stalemates as the 2 past initiatives failed to make a headway in solving the political crisis. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is pitched against anti-government forces with the terrorist factions such as the Islamic State and al-Nusra also in the mix. The special envoy's meeting with the opposition delegation follows his initial talks with the representative of the Syrian government last Friday.
I am simply saying is reminding the ISSG members of what they actually indicated, that when the actual talks would start, they themselves will start helping in ensuring that there would be a discussion about an overall ceasefire in the Syrian conflict.
And more international news and updates now in World Wrap. French President François Hollande called on the United States to lift their economic sanctions against Cuba. Hollande's remark came during a meeting with his Cuban counterpart Raul Castro. During the meeting, both the presidents vowed to develop a closer economic, political and cultural ties between the two countries. In 2014, the United States announced a normalization of its relations with Cuba, but still maintained an economic embargo on the island nation, first imposed in October 1960. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has urged the West to maintain sanctions over Russia over its backing of militants in the east of the country. His comments were echoed by German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who said that given the back of a sustainable peace, the European Union must renew sanctions against Russia over its role in the conflict. At least 10 people were killed and 20 others wounded after a suicide bomber blew himself up in the Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack. The attacks coincided with the renewed efforts to revive a peace process with the Islamist insurgent movement that stalled last year. Let's now get you all the sporting action in Sports Beat. Rishabh Pant slammed the fastest in U19 cricket as India registered a thumping win over Nepal to go undefeated in the group stage of the World Cup. Chasing a target of 170, the left-handed opener scored 50 of just 18 balls and added 124 for the first wicket with captain Ishan Kishan. The Rahul Dravid-coached India has topped Group D with an all-win record. Former world champion Vishwanathan Anand won against Fiala Vaclav of the Czech Republic to keep himself in contention at the Gibraltar Chess Tournament. With a win, Anand took his tally to 4 points and is still a full point behind the leaders. However, D. Harika suffered her first loss in the event at the hands of David Anton Gujaro of Spain. Pep Guardiola has agreed a 3-year contract to become Manchester City manager in the summer. The 45-year-old, currently in charge at Bayern Munich, will replace Manuel Pellegrini, who will leave on 30th of June. Now, Guardiola, who has won 14 titles with Barcelona in his 4-year coaching spell, had turned down a contract extension at Bayern late last year after winning back-to-back league titles. That's all in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching.